Welcome back. It's time for tonight's International Media Watch, which I'm joined by James Creedon, plugged into his laptop.
Yes, indeed.
Hello, James. Obviously, starting off in Norway, I guess.
That's right. And I suppose with all of these incidents nowadays, Twitter is an interesting tool to see what some of the reaction is online. We saw that many were killed in the centre of Oslo today. And then on the island of Utøya nearby, there was a shootout with 20 to 30 dead, according to some estimates. So one guy who was at the scene, his name is Kjetil Vevla, and you can see he was tweeting all day long, and we can see some of these here. And the first tweet says, someone is shooting on Utøya, alert the police. So that was about 3 or 4 hours ago. He continued to tweet for some time. The second tweet said, we're by the water, a man in a police uniform is shooting, help us. The police need to come. This next tweet was about 4 hours ago now, and it said, we're okay, we're waiting to see what happens. And then there was nothing for a period of about 3 hours, and I suppose in all these situations you'd wonder what had happened, but he did tweet about 45 minutes ago to say that he was okay. So people on the island, he tweeted on his iPhone, so you're getting witness accounts at the scene. Elsewhere, obviously, the Norwegian newspapers are responding to this as well. This particular newspaper is called Verdens Gang, or the Way of the World, and they've been headlining it on it all day, saying that witnesses say 20 to 30 people could be killed on Utøya Island. So I suppose what happened on the island now dominating the news. And on Aftenposten, they have a map here, and you can actually see the location of the island in relation to where Oslo city is nearby. They speak of an ambulance shuttling back and forth from the location. A conservative estimate of 10 people dead, they say. A man with Nordic appearance supposedly was arrested, and 17 brought to hospital, and they say that some have hypothermia, because I would imagine they jumped into the water because of this. On the New York Times, I imagine you were mentioning this, Chris, there was a claim of responsibility by an Islamist group. Now, they point out on the New York Times that these sort of claims of responsibility sometimes happen.
The ones that land the earliest aren't often the most accurate.
Exactly. So I suppose it's too early to say just yet what the reality behind this story is. But yes, already lots of reaction online. Now, I was going to talk about Murdoch as well. That was the original idea, being Media Watch, etc. So let's have a look at The Guardian. Did James Murdoch mislead MPs? Now, this was going back to Tuesday, of course, and when he spoke to the Parliamentary Committee. Since then, former News of the World editor Colin Myler and Tom Crone, former head of legal affairs, say, actually, James, you were mistaken in some of what you said. Now, this all concerns an email, the infamous Far Neville email, and it gets quite complicated, but the gist of it is, did James Murdoch know in 2008 about accusations that it wasn't just one rogue reporter at News of the World, but perhaps another reporter, for instance Neville, who was a chief reporter at the time, was he aware of hacking? So if James Murdoch lied, basically it obviously is going to look very, very bad for the Murdochs to have lied in front of a parliamentary committee. And he says that the top lawyer, Tom Crone, never made him aware of that particular email. This was all in a bid to pay hush money to Gordon Taylor to the tune of £700,000. So many now, including a Labour MP, are saying it looks like that was hush money. And Tom Watson said this, a very prominent Labour MP on this issue, and he said, if this is true, James Murdoch knew 3 years ago that hacking was not confined to one rogue reporter. It's the most significant moment of 2 years of investigation into phone hacking. Now, another development in all of this, we can see it in the New York...
It's the scandal that keeps on giving.
It just keeps on giving, exactly. In the New York Times, they're pointing out that a guy called Greg Miskew is going to return to the UK. He's going to give evidence to the police. What does he know? Did he know about hacking? Did he know how much Rebecca Brooks knew, the former head of the News of the World at the time of the Millie Dowler incident? What did he know, basically? What about Andy Coulson, David Cameron's former Director of Communications? Was he aware of hacking? So it continues to snowball, I suppose. And if we just have a look online, this guy has given an interview actually to the Telegraph where he says he will, that's a photo of him there, he's coming back from Florida where he's been living for the last few years, and he's going to talk to the police. Now, I think what's interesting as well to look at online is the way in which they're supposedly trying to simplify the story. The Guardian have a chart there which is very usefully simplifying.
Very simplified, yeah.
You'd need a chart for the chart, I think. The New York Times Times, they're doing something a little bit more interesting, I suppose, where you can see British Government, News Corp, Metropolitan Police, and then Newsweek have something which they're calling Rebecca's Web. So Rebecca Brooks and all the people that she was linked to in this affair. So that's a useful way of trying to simplify a very complicated story.
James, we have to leave it there. Thank you very much, James Creedon, for that roundup of the international media.